I think judiciary has no mechanism whatsoever. There is complete absence of accountability. And this has been going on for long years, decades now. Nobody really, wants any kind of an accountability in judiciary. And there is no mechanism where anybody can make a complaint against anybody. Nobody is there to hear anybody. Nobody is there to, correct the situation. I think things have gone completely beyond redemption. And therefore, this kind of a mechanism is, frankly, I would say, is a blot on so-called independent judiciary. I have seen judiciary, over these 4.5 decades, deteriorating, year by year, and the deterioration is, I think, is constant. It is unstoppable, and today I look at it; it is incurable. Frankly, to my mind, that judgment which was given in second judge's case was, I would say, it was really the worst thing that judiciary could have done. And, I have a lurking suspicion in my mind that it was done by judges with the lawyers, with the fond hope of grabbing power of appointment. I have no doubt about it. That judgment raises serious question marks. I appeal through your mechanism to the parliament, to both the ruling party, the Bharatiya Janata Party, and to the opposition, to be responsible and bring about a consensus, consult best of the jurists and the experts. There are excellent people in academic world, there are some outstanding lawyers in the legal profession. Talk to them, find some way out, and have a consensus within next 15 days to 30 days. Bring a law and remove this collegium system as fast as you can.
But you're making a very important point. You're appealing to politicians as a whole, regardless of which party they belong to consult the best jurisdictional minds in the country, including judges and academics, and come up with a new National Judicial Appointments Commission that replaces the collegium. And you're saying they should do it within the next 15-30 days.
Yes, absolutely. And they will be doing a great service to the country.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.
Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. On Friday, the Times of India broke the story about large sums of unaccounted cash found in Justice Yashwant Varma's residence. Earlier, there was the case of Justice Shekhar Yadav, who blatantly breached judicial propriety and conduct with his statements. But in either case, has the judiciary acted effectively and responsibly? And if the answer is no, what does that suggest about the judiciary's in-house mechanism for accountability? And does it also raise questions about the way judges are chosen, particularly at the High Court level? Those are the key issues I shall raise today with one of our most highly regarded lawyers, former President of the Supreme Court Bar Association, Dushyant Dave. Dushyant Dave, on Friday, the Times of India broke the story about large sums of unaccounted cash found in Justice Yashwant Varma's residence. Earlier, there was the case of Justice Shekhar Yadav, who blatantly breached judicial propriety and conduct with his statements. In one case, effective action hasn't been taken. In the second, many people believe it happened belatedly and after protests both in Parliament and the media. Does that suggest that the judiciary has an ineffective in-house mechanism for accountability?
I think judiciary has no mechanism whatsoever. There is complete absence of accountability. And this has been going on for long years, decades now. Nobody really, wants any kind of an accountability in judiciary. And there is no mechanism where anybody can make a complaint against anybody. Nobody is there to hear anybody. Nobody is there to, correct the situation. I think things have gone completely beyond redemption. And therefore, this kind of a mechanism is, frankly, I would say, is a blot on a so-called independent judiciary.
I'll come to the so-called mechanism such as it is in a moment's time, but let me first ask you, how common are cases like those of Justice Varma and Justice Yadav? Are they illustrations of a growing and proliferating problem?
Look, I've been a lawyer for 4.5 decades now. And as I have repeatedly been saying that I respect judiciary, I love judiciary. My father was a judge. And I have seen judiciary, over these 4.5 decades, deteriorating, year by year. And the deterioration is, I think, is constant. It is unstoppable. And today, I look at it, it is incurable. You have all kinds of situations. You have serious situation of many judges across the country, and high courts, lower courts, even chief justices of India, who have conducted themselves in extremely questionable manner. And those questions relate to financial improprieties. So, it is impossible for anyone like me to have proof. But we know when we see their judgments, we know, when we see their approach, we know that there is something more than what meets the eye. Now, this has been happening. There is serious inefficiency amongst large number of judges. There is a lot of incompetence amongst many judges. And therefore, everything, judges are not sensitive to the issues which really they ought to be sensitive about: gender issues, issues about, caste, issues about religion. Judges are not sensitive about the constitution and its ethos. There is serious challenge which is plaguing the judiciary for a long, long time. And therefore, its erosion is not just gradual. The erosion has been terrible over the last 4 decades. When I just joined the bar in 1978, I must say Gujarat High Court was an impeccable court. And there were 16 or 14 or 16 judges. Each one was more competent and better than other. Today, it is impossible to say that there is any institution, any high court in this country or the Supreme Court where you can say that the court is completely blemish-free.
Against that swinging criticism, let's in fact talk about reasons why many people like you believe that the in-house mechanism is ineffective and inadequate. You in fact say there is no in-house mechanism worth calling a mechanism. The Rosalind Wilson Memorial Lecture says there's no statutory basis for the procedure such as the procedure that exists, and it has limited sanctity within the judiciary itself. The lecture says, for instance, no judge has ever agreed to resign because there was an adverse report by the committee against him or her. Is the absence of a proper laid down formal statutory mechanism telling and damning?
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. Frankly, it's a joke. Same judiciary talks about fighting corruption, says that corruption is really eating up the country. It is horrible. It is going to destroy this nation. And, sends a constable with 100 or 200 rupees bribe to jail, or a bus conductor. And the same judiciary, when it comes to their own, say, oh, we must have an in-house mechanism, and therefore, unless and until that in-house mechanism, finds something against the judge, agencies can't prosecute him, can't proceed against him in accordance with law. What kind of hypocrisy is this? Yes, everybody wants independence of judiciary. I also stand for independence of judiciary, and I also feel that executive should not have absolute free right to prosecute judges or run after them. But within the system, you must have a system where Chief Justice and two of his senior most judges, if Chief Justice or those judges are not involved themselves, should be able to prima facie take a view within less than 24 hours whether there is sufficient material against a particular High Court judge or a Supreme Court judge for law to proceed. Once they satisfy themselves, then they should allow the ordinary law to take place. They should allow the judge to be arrested. Custodial interrogation is absolutely important because the entire evidence, like in this case, will disappear. The money has, after police recorded that video, has disappeared. So how do you know who are the lawyers who are involved in this? Who are the parties who are involved with this judge? All those questions require a much serious investigation, and that should come first before it gets lost.
But you're saying two or three very important things, and I'm putting them back to you for clarification because I think they will surprise and astound many in the audience. You're saying, first of all, after a serious allegation of corruption is known, the Chief Justice of the High Court and the top two judges must, within 24 hours, you actually said 24 hours, come to a firm decision whether there is a case, and then they must bring in the police authorities and allow the judge to be arrested so that custodial investigation can happen. All of that is what you believe in.
I'm very clear about it. Why you think judges are not citizens of these countries? They are also holding public offices. If every public servant is subjected to Prevention of Corruption Act, the judges have been immune, and in the garb of that immunity, all this nonsense has been going on for a long, long time. There are very seriously questionable judges who have existed in last 3 decades at least, and who exist across the country today. You walk in any corridor of any court in the country and they will tell you what serious challenges young lawyers are facing today. They say that justice is for sale in many issues, in many courts. They actually say that.
So if you translate this into the Justice Yashwant Varma case, for example, you're saying that within 24 hours, in fact, it took the High Court Chief Justice and the Chief Justice of India a whole week, but you're saying within 24 hours, they should have made a determination whether there was a case, the police should have been called in, the judge should have been arrested, and custodial investigation should have followed. That was the correct procedure in the Justice Yashwant Varma case.
Yes, absolutely. Because otherwise, it's complete, not only hypocrisy, it's mockery of the system that judges can get, large number of judges after questionable career, where many of us know as to how they have conducted themselves, how they have enriched themselves, have gone away without any action ever being taken against them, and they are all living a life beyond their known sources of income. We see
something else that the Rosalind Wilson Memorial Lecture has gone into some detail about. I want to put the point made by that lecture and ask you, how true is it? Because it sounds from what you're saying as if it's totally true. The lecture says that there are many instances where the misconduct of judges is discussed in public. You talked about lawyers knowing about judges selling justice, but in-house proceedings against them have never been initiated. The lecture also says that there are cases where allegations against a judge have been made, but the in-house mechanism has not been activated. Those cases have been ignored. You believe all of this is correct?
Karan, I will go even a step further. That most of these judges who have been corrupt, let's understand one thing. Substantial number of judges are honest. Many of them may be inefficient, but they are financially honest. But those who are dishonest, the system knows them. But nobody has courage to level allegations against them. Because they know that raising allegations is not going to bear any fruit. No Chief Justice, knowing full well what is happening in the system, wants to take corrective measures. No Chief Justice wants to take the bar into confidence about these issues. No Chief Justice wants to discuss with those whom Chief Justice respects from amongst the bar members who can give him correct information about the judges. So, there is nothing which is happening. It is a status quo which is going on, and in the garb of independence of judiciary, I think those corrupt judges who have been corrupt and who are corrupt are really enjoying merrily without any kind of obstruction, without any kind of fear, and certainly without any kind of I would say worry.
But you're also suggesting, Dushyant Dave, that in many of the cases you're referring to, Chief Justices of the High Court, maybe in some instances Chief Justices of India, are complicit in covering up and hiding and failing to act. They're aware of the allegations, they're aware of the evidence, but they're not doing anything.
Absolutely. Not only that, there are many Chief Justices of India in last 30 years against whom fingers have been raised, questions have been asked. So, I mean, it's nothing new. I mean, everybody blames.
Chief Justices of India are themselves, and many such, not just one or two, have been corrupt.
Many, I mean, there are allegations, serious allegations. Shanti Bhushanji gave a sealed cover in which he named more than 10 such Chief Justices.
I remember that very well, and you're saying nothing was done about it.
That cover was never opened. And that apart, after that also, many Chief Justices have left lot to be desired in last 15 years. Many. And things have been, I mean, unbelievably, shamelessly done in the Supreme Court.
This is why you say there is no mechanism whatsoever. It is completely absent.
Forget this. On a routine basis, Chief Justice of India after Chief Justice of India have allowed matters of rich and powerful people to be placed before convenient benches so that they can succeed and get away with illegal orders. Everybody knows that. You walk into corridor of Supreme Court and you ask 10 lawyers, out of 10, 9 will confirm this issue. It is affecting them. It is affecting young lawyers. It is deflecting justice. And it is really portraying my system in a very poor light. But till we discuss all this, nobody wants to discuss it also. They talk in whispers. And I don't blame young lawyers and other lawyers because, you have to make a sacrifice. If you discuss it, those judges will attack you. They will, they will give you bad orders. They will target you. So naturally, the lawyers are afraid. So, it is really a system which needs to be overhauled completely.
Forgive me. What you're saying suggests that, leave aside not having an in-house mechanism for accountability, we actually have the opposite, an in-house mechanism for protection.
Absolutely. It has worked the other way. And they know it. All those judges who are corrupt. Problem is that as a result of them, the good judges suffer.
Tell me this then. Whose responsibility is it to create an effective, meaningful mechanism?
Both judges and the bar. But judges should consult the bar. Judges should have courage to, think about, I mean, are these Chief Justices of India who are straightforward? Those who are not straightforward, forget them. Those who are straightforward, and many of them are straightforward, as presently Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna is, are they blind to what is happening in the institution? And if they are blind, why don't they hear people like us? I'm sure there are many senior advocates of the Supreme Court and other courts who will talk to them about and point out perhaps the names of judges against whom there are serious question marks being asked.
But when you say that the responsibility lies with judges and the bar, are you saying that the present president of the Supreme Court Bar Association, just to take him as an example, Kapil Sibal, should go to the Chief Justice of India and say, look, we need to sit down and work out a proper, effective, meaningful mechanism. Let's start work on it together and quickly.
Undoubtedly. See, Bar Council chairman can also do it. But Bar Council chairman is a political, appointee. And therefore, he may have his own reasons to do it and not to do it. But Mr. Sibal enjoys a position, he enjoys a respect, and he knows what is happening. He knows what is happening in the country. So I definitely would feel that, and Chief Justice and his senior judges who are all, today collegium, for example, all 5 judges are impeccable. Justice Gavai, Justice Suryakant, Justice Abhay Oak, Justice Vikram Nath, they are all very good judges. They should, be alive to this after this. They should grab this opportunity to really strike.
But they're not.
They are not.
Aware of the problem, but they're doing nothing about it. What does that tell us about them? This is surely irresponsibility.
I will tell you what it tells. See, judges have this bogus, false notion that if we talk about all this and if we really expose, judiciary's image will, become bad. They don't realize that in the minds of common people, judiciary's image is not the best today. We don't enjoy as much respect as armed forces do today.
But they're also doing something else. In the belief that they're mistakenly protecting the image of the judiciary, they're allowing the rot to get worse day by day.
Undoubtedly, there is no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it.
Let me at this point, Dushyant Dave, come to a second issue that faces the judiciary. It's the question to do with how judges are chosen. Even former Supreme Court judges like Ruma Pal and Kurian Joseph have pointed out that the collegial system lacks transparency, accountability, and credibility. I think Ruma Pal has gone on record to say that there is no known or agreed criteria for choosing judges, and often trade-offs are done within the collegium, promoting friends, favorites, or relatives. To what extent do you agree with this critique? Because if judges are chosen inadequately and improperly, it means the sort of person who becomes judges is not going to be effective and efficient. So to what extent do you agree with this critique?
See, I agree with it completely, but there are two things. By taking upon themselves the responsibility of appointing these judges, the judges have really created a situation where they have become subject matter of target, and rightly so. That you are the guys who are appointing bad judges. Why? I don't know why they did it. Frankly, to my mind, that judgment which was given in second judge's case was, I would say, it was really the worst thing that judiciary could have done. And, I have a lurking suspicion in my mind that it was done by judges with the lawyers, with the fond hope of grabbing power of appointment. I have no doubt about it. That judgment raises serious question marks. Be that as it may, that judgment says that we must appoint best from those amongst available. They have never done so. I can confidently tell you that by and large, their appointments have been very, very poor. There have been extraordinary judges appointed, but more often than not, they have made mistakes in appointments. And it is continuing. It has happened continuously. So you don't have to, you have now lost the opportunity of blaming somebody else. The blame now comes to you. And you have never appointed judges as you wanted to. The whole purpose was that judiciary will appoint better judges than the executive. That purpose is completely failed. And judges, I can definitely make a statement that yes, some bad judges may have been appointed by the executive, but till 1978, when I came into practice, I would say judges were far, far better than judges being appointed today. Far, far better. So there is, and that is why at 24th of May 1949, I still remember that date because Dr. Ambedkar was called upon by some members that in Article 124, the new article, which is the power of appointing Supreme Court judges, you say that the president shall appoint judges in concurrence with the Chief Justice and judges of the Supreme Court. And Ambedkar said, I will not agree to that because I don't think that Chief Justice is a man whom I can trust. He said, if I can't trust my parliament, if I can't trust my executive, I certainly am not going to place my faith in the Chief Justice because he is also a man of failings, he says. And yet, that very job which was rejected by Constituent Assembly to replace the word consultation with concurrence has been done by the Supreme Court in second judge's judgment case. So, it is virtually grabbing the constitutional power. It's not rewriting. It is grabbing that power. Now, you did it, all right, with a fond hope that a particular law minister was making bad appointments. What have you been doing? Why is it that since 1992, you have had so many questionable Chief Justices of India? So many. in their conduct. Now, I mean, look at this Allahabad judge who says that a child who is treated in this fashion by a rapist, this is not to be treated as a rape. I mean, does that judge not have a daughter or a granddaughter? What kind of, I mean, he has no sensitivity to children, to women. These are the kind of people these collegiums have been appointing, and he's not in isolation. There are too many of them in many high courts. And they must stand up and say sorry to the country, these collegiums, that we have appointed such people who have no sensitivity. Today, minorities are a target. They are not being protected by judiciary by and large. Today, Dalits are facing problems. Today, women are facing problem. Today, opposition is facing problem. Critics and stand-up comedians are facing problem. Why? Thanks to this so-called independent judiciary, which collegium has been appointing for last 35 years. So there is a serious issue to be raised. I mean, sooner these judges agree to give up this power that they have grabbed, the better it would be for institution. I am not saying that executive is going to make the best of the appointments. But at least I will have a right to question executive that why have you appointed Mr. X, who has serious question marks on him as a lawyer? You can't appoint him. Today I can't do that because the collegium is appointing them. So we have to find something, and NJSC was a balance. Yes, Supreme Court could have tweaked that by saying that in that committee, fiercely independent jurists should be appointed and government should not be in majority. But if government is there, then government can give the input and they can together, do something.
Let me ask you this. You seem to be towards the end of that answer suggesting that some form of the National Judicial Appointments Commission needs to be thought of again. One where the government doesn't have a majority, one where the two independent people don't necessarily have a veto. This is something that was written about today by former Attorney General Venugopal in the Indian Express. It's something that Jagdeep Dhankar, the Vice President, has been talking about in Parliament. Are you suggesting that a different shape and form of the NJAC is what we need today?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a need of the hour, Karan. Need of the hour. And you know why? Because it will absolve judiciary from the wrongdoings of many of its mischievous members. And judges should really think about it. The bar should think about it. See, everybody is, unfortunately, those members of the bar who are getting the benefit out of this kind of nonsense going on will never stand up and speak. The others are too timid to speak. So, we need a mechanism where this kind of independent body is there. Government also, after all, executive also must have a say. Yes, executive. And I'll tell you one thing. I mean, in last 10 years or even prior thereto, in many appointments, executive has not only had a say, but has had a veto over the collegium decisions. We have seen that when Chief Justice Qureshi was not brought. We have seen when Chief Justice Muralidhar was not brought. We have seen that when Justice Jayant Patel was transferred. We have seen in many judges that government has virtually exercised veto over the collegium. And Chief Justice after Chief Justice has succumbed to the government of the day.
What you're saying...
And I have no doubt it happened earlier also prior to 2004. I am not blaming only the current government. It has happened in the past also. So, I mean, let us understand one thing. Collegiums have not been fiercely independent. They have worked on compromises. And compromises have come not only from within, but also from the external forces.
You're pointing out a very telling, if not damning, irony about the collegium. It was created purportedly to circumvent any interference or influence from the executive. But now, because the executive, particularly when the executive has a dominant majority in parliament, literally sits on recommendations made by the collegium and effectively vetoes them. You cited several instances of Justice Akhil Qureshi, Justice Muralidhar, where precisely that happened. And therefore, if even the collegium is failing If even the collegium is failing to stand up to the executive, that's another reason for saying we need another way in which the executive has a legitimate role, but not a dominant role in choosing judges. We need to ensure that the best are chosen, and unqualified, undeserving don't get promoted. We don't have judges who after retirement hanker for positions in the Rajya Sabha or governorship, who while sitting on the bench praise the Prime Minister. For all those reasons, we need to have a different shape and form, but we do need a National Judicial Appointments Commission in some shape or form again.
We certainly do that. And what we need the most, Karan, is a nationwide debate. I mean, this issue it has been shoved under the carpet for a long, long time. Judges must now stand up and speak and tell the country what knowledge they have. The Intelligence Bureau should tell the country as to against how many judges they have information about their financial improprieties. I have no doubt IB has sufficient information. And bar members and bar associations should, those bar members who are respected and bar associations should stand up and speak about judges about whom they have serious reservations. So, I mean, you can't just, allow, this is all happening in silence. Everything.
My last question.
Yes.
Would you therefore support Parliament in a united fashion? Not divided between parties, not divided between the government and the opposition, but the Parliament unitedly once again trying to create, perhaps in consensus with the judiciary, a National Judicial Appointment Commission, which overcomes the infirmities of the older version, but nonetheless ensures that you have a credible, effective, meaningful, transparent, and upfront way of choosing judges. Would you support that?
Look, let us understand one thing. There is nothing more pious than justice. There is nothing more, important than removing injustices in society. And there is huge amount of injustice in the society. It may be at the hands of the executive, it may be at the hands of the rich and the powerful, but victims are suffering, and the victims are, small people, and they may be, across the country. Now, to ensure, and, ultimately what is justice related to? Fundamentally, rule of law. If you don't have a strong rule of law, then democracies are in peril.
Which is why you need good judges.
I appeal, therefore, through your mechanism to the parliament, to both the ruling party, the Bharatiya Janata Party, and to the opposition, to be responsible and bring about a consensus, consult best of the jurists and the experts. There are excellent people in academic world. There are some outstanding lawyers in the legal profession. Talk to them, find some way out, and have a consensus within next 15 days to 30 days. Bring a law and remove this collegium system as fast as you can. The faster you do it, it will be a better. Because I'll tell you, if there is one Chief Justice, I'll give you an example of Chief Justice P.D. Desai, who is my hero. And I've never seen a judge greater than him in last 46 years. He became Chief Justice. He was a Gujarat judge. He became Chief Justice in Himachal, Calcutta, and Bombay. And he worked so hard as a Chief Justice that he would look at the series, the record of every subordinate judge to find out against whom questions are raised about integrity. And he ensured that large number of them showed the door. Now, if one Chief Justice can achieve in his state, it will be a tremendous victory, because, the impropriety starts at the lowest level.
Absolutely.
And the smallest man suffers the most there.
But you're making a very important point. You're appealing to politicians as a whole, regardless of which party they belong to consult the best juridical minds in the country, including judges and academics, and come up with a new National Judicial Appointments Commission that replaces the collegium. And you're saying they should do it within the next 15, 30 days.
Yes, absolutely. And they will be doing a great service to the country. Great service.
Dushyant Dave, thank you very much for your forceful views that will, I believe, resonate across this country. Many will be impressed by your passion. Many, no doubt, will be surprised by it. But absolutely no one will be able to ignore the vehemence with which you spoke today. I thank you for making time for me. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.